The shortstop is in the National League. We've got Javi Baez, a 3.03 average, 13 home runs, 34 RBIs, and 914 OPS. Trevor Story, 293 average, 15 home runs, 42 RBIs, and 916 OPS. And those are the two guys it's going to be between. It's going to be between Trevor Story and Javi Baez. And just looking at who could make it with them, we've got Jose Iglesias, a 3.03 average, 4 home runs, 21 RBIs, a 775 OPS. Dansby Swanson, a 258 average, 11 home runs, 38 RBIs, a 786 OPS. And it's going to be Story, it's going to be Baez, and then I think it's going to come down between Jose Iglesias and Dansby Swanson. I'd go with Swanson just because Braves country is like that whole South region. Now, the Reds certainly have their contingent, but if I had to guess right now from the NL, it will be Trevor Story, Javi Baez, and Dansby Swanson. For the American League, Adalberto Mondesi, Jorge Polanco, and Gleyber Torres. All right, for catchers, the candidates in the American League, James McCann, a 338 average, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 892 OBS. Gary Sanchez, 264 average, 18 home runs, 35 RBIs, a 987 OPS. And again, it's going to be between, both those guys and Josh McCann from the White Sox and Gary Sanchez. No doubt they're making it to the General. And then some contenders behind them. We've got Christian Vasquez, a 297 average, 7 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 829 OPS. Omar Narvaez, a 285 average, 8 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 822 OPS. Josh Phegley, 284 average, 7 home runs, 33 RBIs, and 841 OPS. And Jason Castro, 279 average, 7 home runs, 17 RBIs, and 967 OPS. So that third is sort of wide open with Christian Vasquez, Omar Narvaez, Josh Phegley, and Castro of the Twins. Flip a coin. If I had to guess, I'd say Vasquez just because he has that Red Sox contingent. So the three guys, James McCann, Christian Vasquez, and Gary Sanchez. And the National League, the contenders. Tony Walters, a 304 average, 1 home run, 18 RBIs, 769 OPS. Wilson Contreras, a 289 average, 12 home runs, 32 RBIs, a 948 OPS. Yadier Molina, a 265 average, 4 home runs, 33 RBIs, and a 690 OPS. And those are going to be the three guys, Tony Walters, Wilson Contreras, and Yadier Molina. The Yadi, Wilson Contreras, Cardinals-Cubs rivalry is going to continue into the general election. It's always good for baseball. And to see Yadi still putting up the numbers that he is. And it's nice to see Tony Walters, the hero of the 2018 NL Wildcard game, showing up, and he's showing up in a big way for the Rockies so far in 2019. All right, let's take a look at the outfield candidates. In the American League, we got Austin Meadows, a 355 average, 12 home runs, 35 RBIs, a 1,095 OPS. Michael Brantley, a 333 average, 10 home runs, 36 RBIs, a 933 OPS. Josh Reddick, a 314 average, 6 home runs, 19 RBIs, and an 815 OPS. Joey Gallo, a 276 average, 17 home runs, 41 RBIs, a 1,074 OPS. Eddie Rosario, a 281 average, 17 home runs, 49 RBIs, and 859 OPS. George Springer, 308 average, 17 home runs, 43 RBIs, a 1,032 OPS. Domingo Santana, a 264 average, 10 home runs, 42 RBIs, a 791 OPS. And Mike Trout, a 289 average, 14 home runs, 35 RBIs, a 1,061 OPS. Now, I believe 9 outfielders get to advance. So if we had to pick the 9, Austin Meadows definitely goes, Joey Gallo, Eddie Rosario, and I think those 3 are pretty safe between Meadows, Gallo, and Rosario. I think those 3 should be the starting American League outfielders if it's up to me. But the guys moving on, I'd go Brantley would definitely go. Outside of that, I'd say Springer definitely goes, and so we now got Meadows, we've got Brantley, we've got Gallo, we've got Rosario. Besides that, I'd go Josh Reddick would get the nod as well. Let's see who else we got. I'd go with George Springer would definitely be moving on. Domingo Santana, and Mike Trout. So the 9 candidates for me are Austin Meadows, Michael Brantley, Josh Reddick, Joey Gallo, Eddie Rosario, George Springer, Domingo Santana, and then Mike Trout are the candidates for me in the American League. All right, National League, we've got Cody Bellinger, a 379 average, 20 home runs, 52 RBIs, a 1,208 OPS. Scott Kingery, a 347 average, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, a 961 OPS. Jeff McNeil, 333 average, 2 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 879 OPS. Christian Yelich, 309 average, 22 home runs, 49 RBIs, a 1,142 OPS. Jock Peterson, 274 average, 17 home runs, 31 RBIs, a 1,041 OPS. Marcell Ozuna, a 252 average, 16 home runs, 51 RBIs, and 866 OPS. And those are the candidates for me. So we've got Cody Bellinger, Scott Kingery, Jeff McNeil, Christian Yelich. As we said before with Christian Yelich, and we've got Jock Peterson as well, followed by Marcell Ozuna. And yeah, so there's 6 guys right there, and then it's just a matter of who makes it after that. Some other candidates for the 3 remaining positions. We've got Melky Cabrera, a 331 average, 3 home runs, 19 RBIs, and 817 OPS. We got Bryce Harper, a 252 average, 11 home runs, 43 RBIs, and 861 OPS. So I definitely think then you've got Harper and you've got Melky Cabrera moving on there. And then it comes down to one position. David Dahl, potentially a 328 average, 5 home runs, 19 RBIs, a 903 OPS. Franmil Reyes, 247 average, 16 home runs, 28 RBIs, and 842 OPS. Juan Soto, 294 average, 10 home runs, 38 RBIs, and 932 OPS. Maybe like a Charlie Blackmon, but I don't necessarily think so. So the guys moving on that I have, Bellinger, Kingery, McNeil, Yelich, Peterson, Ozuna, and then the other guys moving on as well are Melky Cabrera for me, Bryce Harper, and then the one guy that I was saying it's between for me right now, David Dahl, Franmil Reyes, Juan Soto. But I'd give it to Juan Soto as well. So the 9 guys in the National League: Bellinger, Yelich, Peterson, Kingery, Soto, Melky Cabrera, Marcell Ozuna, and I believe Jock Peterson. And Jeff McNeil too. So those are the 9 guys I have moving on in the National League outfield race. DH race, only in the American League. The candidates: Hunter Pence, 304 average, 11 home runs, 39 RBIs, a 960 OPS. Renato Nunez, a 249 average, 15 home runs, 35 RBIs, and 809 OPS. And I think it's honestly going to be Hunter Pence and Renato Nunez are both moving on. It's just a matter of who's that guy afterwards. Obviously, Al Garcia, 301 average, 10 home runs, 25 RBIs, and 884 OPS. Daniel Vogelbach, a 242 average, 15 home runs, 32 RBIs, and 928 OPS. If I would go right now with Hunter Pence, Renato Nunez, and Daniel Vogelbach for the American League. Hunter Pence is having a renaissance season out there in Texas, and he's a big reason of why they have a playoff spot right now. Now, I don't think that the Rangers are going to be going any further than that American League wildcard game against the Tampa Bay Rays if they do indeed secure that second wildcard spot. But if Hunter Pence continues to play the way he's playing, he's going to be a big part of leading that team back to the postseason under rookie skipper Chris Woodward. So good stuff from Hunter Pence. Renato Nunez in Baltimore looks like they have a nice piece there, as well as Daniel Vogelbach in Seattle. So, that's going to be our All-Star. And once I get to, the primaries end, I will give my, obviously, selections and the general election. I just don't want to give them yet because there's still time, and I like all the candidates right now. It's tough to even them out, but there are definitely certain guys like Josh Bell, National League first baseman. But really, besides that, all really good races right now. And it'll be exciting to see how it all pans out. The 3 guys that went, and just giving my 2 cents on who should go, who I think should go, and that sort of stuff. And we'll continue to do this every week on BPN Weekly until June the 21st, when the 3 are decided, and then we'll go through the races when we get to that point. All right, let's get into some news from the week. It's official. Jay Bruce is a Philadelphia Philly. After a frenzy of trade tidbits over the last 24 hours or so, the deal has been made official. The Phillies acquired veteran outfielder Jay Bruce from the Seattle Mariners in exchange for minor league prospect Jake Shiner. The Mariners are also sending along cash considerations to offset the cost to the Phillies for the Bruce contract. The Phillies announced the official news via Twitter Sunday afternoon as the Phillies were in the middle of wrapping up a weekend series on the road against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Bruce is in his 12th year in the majors and has played in 47 games for the Mariners this season. He carries a .212 batting average, but he would be coming in to provide some pop off the bench and plug a hole in left field. Bruce has homered 14 times this season, which already exceed his combined total from the past 2 seasons with the New York Mets and Cleveland Indians. This is a trade that is reminiscent of the Matt Stairs deal from 2008, although Bruce figures to play a bit more of a role in the outfield plans for the remainder of the season than Stairs was used in 2008. The Phillies needed an outfielder, with uncertainty surrounding the future of Odubel Herrera and minor league options like Nick Williams not exactly working out as hoped. Bruce could be at least a partial solution to the problem in the outfield. He may not be playing every day, but he should provide a much-needed boost to the bench options at the very least. And with the Mariners picking up a bulk of the salary Bruce is owed, he's making $14 million this year on his contract signed with the Mets a year ago. The Phillies seem to be getting a pretty decent deal here, all things considered. Now that we are in June, we are going to start seeing more trade buzz heat up, and the Phillies still have room to improve on the roster. That is especially true with the pitching staff, which is coming off a bullpen game in Los Angeles and didn't see any additions in the offseason, at least with a starting rotation. Count on seeing the Phillies in the mix for some notable trade deals in the coming weeks. So, big deal right there with Jay Bruce going to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves starting staff enters play Friday, 12th in ERA, 16th in FIP, and 19th in F4. With the bullpen struggles, the rotation hasn't received nearly the focus when improvements are suggested. But should that change? Should the Braves consider upgrades to their rotation? And if they do, who stands out? And why did I already answer that last question? I'm going to answer that question coming up. I foreshadowed it in the middle of the show. So we'll get back to a certain southpaw in a second, but let's look at the rotation as it stands right now. Led by the young dynamic duo of Mike Soroka and Max Fried, the rotation's current rankings compared to the rest of the majors are fairly impressive considering the struggles Mike Foltynewicz has had this season. Expected to be the team's ace, Foltynewicz struggled to find his fastball until May 19th start against the Brewers. It's no surprise that he's allowed just 2 earned runs in his last dozen innings with 10 Ks and no walks. Having one of your best pitches humming seems like a good thing. Should that continue and everyone in Braves country is crossing their fingers that it does, the return of Foltynewicz is, as a trustworthy arm, turns the dynamic duo into a tremendous trio. Of course, neither Fried nor Soroka have ever been a full season starter in the majors before. The Braves may look to limit their innings either by skipping them when possible or trying to heavily regulate their pitches per game. That's where veterans Julio Teheran and Kevin Gausman step in, and well, it's been a bit of a hodgepodge when it comes to them. Teheran has been terrific at first glance with a 3.53 ERA over a team leading 66 in the third innings, but Teheran doesn't seem to truly inspire a good deal of confidence. When Teheran was an all-star caliber arm, he had one of the best strikeout to walk rates in the bigs. Over the last 3 years, even though his strikeouts are rising, his K to walk rate has declined. Every advanced metric suggests Teheran is due for a massive regression. From his above-average hard hit rate surrounded to his at least theoretically low BABIP, that is unsustainable. But Teheran has been this guy going on nearly 2 years. After a terrible first half in 2017, Teheran finished the second half with his ERA nearly as close to 4 as it was close to 5 over the first few months of the season. At the time, we chalked it up to a pitcher learning how to deal with the new ballpark in Cobb County. Since then, however, we have seen more of the same Teheran rather than the one before the move to SunTrust. He walks too many batters, gives up too many homers, is too unreliable, and yet through it all, his ERA is never that bad. Sure, he's no ace, but he's weirdly consistent despite seemingly fighting himself nearly every game. Meanwhile, Gausman is more up and down. Game score isn't the best stat in the world, but for Gausman, it's a funny look into how you never really know what you're going to get. So this is what you get from him. 80, 46, 71, 39,